Hello, comic sakers. How are you guys doing tonight? Thank you all for all coming out. Uh, I've been thinking a lot lately, and in doing so, sometimes questions are posed to us online, and uh, uh, and it wraps around art and where art comes from, and how we make art as people. So tonight, I have a benediction that certainly will hopefully shed some light on that process. So, art emerges from the deepest recesses of the human soul. It is not merely a product of skill or technique, but a reflection of our inner world. Where does art come from? It comes from the raw and unfiltered essence of our experiences, our triumphs, our struggles, our joys, and our sorrows. Art is born from the need to make sense of the chaos around us, to capture fleeting moments, and to express the inexpressible. Consider the earliest cave paintings, etched by hands that longed to convey their reality. They did not use art for a mere decoration, but as means to communicate their existence, their beliefs, and their environment. This instinct, this urge to create, is inherently tied to our human nature. Art only emerges from the human experience because of it's fundamentally tied to our consciousness. Animals might create intricate nests and structures, but art, as we understand it, a manifestation of thought, emotions, and reflections, requires self awareness and a complex understanding of one's place in the world. It is our ability to ponder, to feel deeply, and to connect with our surroundings that gives the rise to art. It is a dialogue between the self and the universe, an exploration in what it means to be human. Thus, art is not just a product, but a process, a journey of discovering and expressing our own humanity. It is as much about the creator as it is about the creation. It is the human experience in all of us, its complexity and its richness that shapes art, gives it meaning, and the depth that transcends time and place. Hello, and welcome to For Comic Sake. It is September 9th, 2024. And yeah, welcome. Welcome. Uh, Tonight, I have a very special guest, but first I'm going to get to my co host who is diligently waiting to fucking be dropped into this badass mixture of chaos. And let's see what excellent thing he has to say when he does so. So, without any further ado, William
Good
Perdomo.
evening, everyone. That was a beautiful benediction, Mr. Krager. And I
I'm
also
glad you like
add that our first evidences of what man was, other than the caveman and how brutal and brute he was, which we don't have any evidence, is that he was an artist initially.
right,
And we
right.
have that on cave walls, on Lascaux, of not just stick figures, but beautiful stylized lions and caribou. Like I said,
Yeah.
not just sticks, but
Yep.
stylization.
All
Um,
art is etched from the human experience. So
my Mises.
unfortunately, that's just a fact of life. Like, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, guys. There's no getting around it as an artist, as a writer, as a human. So, uh, and speaking of humans, one of the greatest people I know, my friend Joe Benitez, has finally come onto my show. He's had a minute. He's been doing a lot of stuff. He's awesome. I believe he has another campaign running over on Kickstarter for Lady Mechanica. And we're going to bring him in right now. Ragin Mr. L. Joe Benitez.
Hey,
Hey, Baba.
Welcome.
actually, the campaign finished September 1st.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, buddy. I,
No worries.
that'll, I didn't realize it ended already. That was,
Oh,
Well,
that was zippy, man. It's pretty zippy. Very zippy of you. You're looking
oh,
handsome and dapper as usual. It's good.
likewise.
it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a very long time.
Yeah, when
And
was the last time we saw each other?
oh, oh God, I don't know. I think we ate tacos somewhere. It
Right.
was, yeah. I think it was over in
Eastlo, where I
maybe,
was living. Yeah, at King Taco.
yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah.
either King Taco or there was another place. I think we ran into each other in Ontario and we went somewhere together too.
Hmm.
So that's very possible.
Okay. Well, that's where
It
I'm
was
living now.
it was right around the hammer time. So yeah, yeah. It was right around there.
Right. I think
It was
I to give you the cover, right? To give the Livingston. It
yeah.
might
I
have been
have
that.
it. Yeah, I
No,
have it.
I'm saying it might have been that time when I did the cover and I needed to give it to you so you can give
Yeah,
it to Livisate to ink it.
yeah. That's probably when we saw each other. That
Right.
was the last time we saw each other. So it
All
was a
right.
little while ago. So I've known Joe for probably about 20 years. Um, we became friends literally at a party, like closer friends. It was funny. I need a ride home, and he was getting ready to go home back to uh, East Los Angeles, and he said, "Hey man, do you need a ride?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And of course, we had seen each other over at Weems's. We had talked a few times and stuff like that. And while we chatted during the 20-minute drive, uh, we got to know each other a little more, and ever since then, we've kept in touch. So
By the way, gentlemen, Marco reminds you guys came over and signed stuff for Hammer. That's when you saw each other.
yeah, we did
Right.
that too.
That's
We saw,
right.
that's true. We did see each other then too. Man,
For that
we're
white
old.
handsome book.
Yeah, we're so old that we don't even remember the last time we saw each other. That's
Yeah, I
really
mean,
sad, man.
I just turned 40 in May.
Yeah, 40 in May, my asshole. Yeah,
I'm not older than you. No way.
no, no,
Well,
no
what are you
way.
talking about?
No, he's older than I am. So,
What?
yeah, dude, you look good for being probably 5 or 6
We all
years
have
older than me.
beards.
So
Uh,
you're
what is
closer
it?
to. I think you're closer to Marco's age than my age.
Well,
Well,
I'm
why you gotta be
53.
talking about Marco that way?
I
Yeah,
love
put Marco.
Marco.
Uh,
Marco's a good
Well,
guy. I like
speaking
oh,
of
Marco.
he's the
So
Marco,
best.
he's sitting amongst the chat. Let's say hello to everybody before we get started.
yeah, yeah, let's do
First
that.
on the roster, Mr. Moromi. Hi, sir. Welcome. Big boss man, Seth. Hail the room and panel. Our good fellow meatbag who we were just talking about, Marco Gali.
Marco.
Greetings, Joe, Jason, Will, chat.
Marco
Sean
Galli.
C. Sean C.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in, buddy. I don't see you too often, but I'm glad you're here.
No, I
Our
told
good
Marco.
always. Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
What'd you say, Joe?
Oh,
Our
no,
good
I
friend.
told Marco
Go
one
ahead.
time when I went to Italy, the reporter, like I was getting interviewed at a show in Italy, and they kept asking, "So you know Marco Galli?" And it's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Tell us about Marco Galli." It's like he's the Italian. It's like, I think so. I'm not sure, but yeah, they wanted to know about you know Marco Galli.
He's a dirty
Um,
Italian, like Spaniard, is what he is. So
One of
he's
them
more of a
colonizers.
yeah, he's a Spaniard, man. So he's a Spaniard. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
and
He took over your peoples, Joe. I'm
No,
sorry.
well, my dad actually. Yeah, my sister tells me a story about him telling her how proud he was that about his grandfather who was a Spanish soldier or something. So
Mhm.
it's like we got all kinds of we're all mixed up.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful brown people who can cook awesome shit. Are you kidding me? Like it's the best. Go ahead,
yeah,
Will.
there goes Luke right there. Jason, Will, Joe, and he's happy to see you. He's a big fan too.
now rock and roll.
Mr. Zablo, welcome. Glad you're here. Matt LaRock, what up, homeboy? And then is that everybody? Hyper Potato, welcome. Good to have you.
Nice.
And then the always faithful GJ with his amazing
GJ.
avatar that I don't know who drew that, but it was pretty good. Hello, folks. Hope everyone's doing well. Always good to see us all, he says. And he's hyped for you, Mr. Benitez. Good to see you.
He's
Rock and
a
roll.
he's a fellow Mexican also.
Oh. Yeah, I can tell by the last name.
Yeah, Hermon Martinez.
Herman Martinez.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Joe, by the way, Joe, Luke could use more Lady Mechanica in his life.
We're working on that.
Oh, we
We're
all
getting
can.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I
And
was
he wants
just
to remind everyone he's also Italian.
Desamento, yes.
And so
Tell
am I.
us
That's
about
it.
Marco Gali.
And that'd be it for the evening, gentlemen. Shall we spin the wheel before we get a talking?
Okay, I don't think I ever told Benitez about the Wheel of Pain, the Wheel of Coom.
Okay.
Okay, so the Wheel
They're
of
like
Coom
truth or dare.
is our fate. Okay,
Oh.
and each Monday we have a fate to draw things for other people,
All rock and roll.
and it has Conan on it. It looks really cool, and you made sure to get the one that Craig put on there, right?
Which one did he put?
Oh God, I think he did Sin City. I ended up posting it again.
Just Sin City?
Yeah, I think it was Marv from Sin City.
Okay, well, we'll just call it Marv.
Yeah, I believe it was Marv.
All right.
So if you didn't
And
have
by the
a
way,
Marv on
GJ wants to remind you that he's Salvadorian. That's fighting words if you mischaracterize a Latin American person.
Whatever. Y'all get mischaracterized, but most of you speak Spanish. Shut up. Anyways,
Just call an Argentinian Mexican and see what happens, and see him his head explode.
Watch him just blow up. I don't make papusas. Go fuck off. But that's a whole nother country. So there's so many.
Luke wants to also say he recommended Lady Mechanica all the time at the comic shop.
Rock and roll. Thank you.
So
yeah,
shall we spin?
Yeah, I guess spin the wheel. So it basically tells us what we're gonna draw and who wins.
Get on with
tonight.
this freak show.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll be something good.
You mean
Mister?
You're drawing tonight?
Yeah, I'm drawing right now live. I'm gonna do that right now. Yeah.
It looks like you're getting Marv.
I don't have my drawing materials with me.
That's okay. I'll just draw Marv, man. It'll take You don't have to do nothing. We're gonna show it. We're gonna show me drawing live.
Oh, right.
So yeah, you get to watch too. While my co-host is basically gonna grill you for the next hour while I draw.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
I mean, I can run. All I need is a pen.
I'm sorry, Chauncey. It turned out to be Marv.
Yeah, sorry. I wish it would have been cool to draw Panda Girl. I had hoped it would be Panda Girl. So my fingers are crossed. I notice that whenever I put somebody on the Wheel of Pain, that they win. So I don't know if your wheel is somewhat so skewed. Usually last minute, if we put somebody on there, for some reason it always comes up with that person. So, and it's done it 2 or 3 times. So that to me means it's flawed. And that's okay.
Do you think it's rigged?
Well, it seems awfully weird to me that it would pop up that easily, but we do have only a few choices, right? Like there were only 6 choices on there. So maybe the luck of the draw at that point, but that's fine. We're drawing Marv tonight. So I'm going to switch over to my view of doing stuff. And here's
we need a new unbiased wheel, according to they're all saying it's rigged.
Oh yeah, it's rigged. It's definitely
this day
rigged.
Will be known as September 9th, the Great September 9th Revolt.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you guys could really revolt from getting free art, but you should just keep coming out. I have been sending stuff out slowly but surely.
Yes, you're getting art, everyone.
Yeah, I got some stuff out today, so you guys need to fucking relax.
All right, well, now we have Mr. Benitez on. If you guys have been living under a rock and you didn't buy comics much until about 5 minutes ago, Joe was a legend in the 90s. He was in the Top Cow studio with Mark Silvestri's brand, and he is responsible for such things as Weapon Zero and The Darkness And I'd say he's the, other than Mike Turner, he's the other rock star of that studio, the other big find of that studio. Would you agree?
Dave Finch. No, Dave Finch is a monster.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he's a monster, but I was a bigger fan of yours.
Oh, well, thank you, man.
So I'm being biased because I can. So I guess the good question is, what's your background, Joe? Where do you come from?
I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, and we moved here when I was 1 to the States, and then I grew up first in North Hollywood, and then we moved over when I was 7 to East LA, and pretty much lived there until like last year, where it's like I decided to get a house. Yeah, so it's like
even during the time in the 90s, you were in East LA.
Yeah, well, the thing is, no one told me about real estate. So when I had money, I was, it's like I didn't invest it. I just basically saved it up, bought a car, paid rent, bought junk, wasted it on other things than that we won't talk about. But yeah, it's like dumped a lot of money on other shit, but I never actually got a home because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it, but it seemed like a big investment back then in my 20s, and it wasn't until recently that I was like, yeah, I probably should get a house from my mom. It's like I wanted to get someplace nice or decent that she can sort of live at, and so I did the hey, let's get a house thing, and then didn't realize how much money mortgages are. So it's like it's just it's a scam. Ridiculous how much you end up paying after 30 years. It's just it's criminal. I don't understand how that. I understand how it works.
Man, he was very hesitant to buy a house too.
Yeah. It's like I was ready to sign the paperwork, and then I was reading like how much of what I'm paying is gonna go into the principal, and then how much I'm gonna end up paying after 30 years, and it's just on interest alone, it's the price of the house times 3. It's just on interest. It's just like, you mean I'm going to pay triple what I'm paying for this house? It's like in 30 years. Just like, what? And again, I'm not very financially savvy. So it's like, now I understand the student loan thing. When like a friend of mine is like, yeah, it's like you can go to film school or you can get tuition for $100K and pay it off, and you still owe more than what you borrowed, and it's just it's ridiculous how these things work, because it's like it makes it well, anyways, why get into that right now?
What up, Woodrow? I haven't seen you here, buddy. Welcome. Glad you're here. So you're hanging around in East LA. You're living there. What gets you into comics? How do you make that transition?
The comic, I've always had the love of drawing. It was just something I did. Like one of my earliest memories, I'm bringing up this story, is like my mom used to be a seamstress, and she worked in a factory across the street from our house. And couldn't get a babysitter, so sometimes I would stay with her while she was working, and to keep me entertained, she would cut out these chunks of butcher board that they use for patterns for the clothes that she would sew. And I would just sit there and draw firemen and fire engines. And Spider-Man and Batman. I would just draw them. And one of the things I used to do when I was a kid is that particular memory. It's like when I told my mom, she said that I was probably around 3 when that happened. So it's like, one of the things I would do is when we went to like a department store of some sort, I would see tags like on the shirts, and you had like a Spider-Man drawing. I think probably John Romita or a Batman or Superman, whatever. And I would just pluck the little tags, take them home, and trace them, or not
Nice.
trace them, but draw them, copy them.
Nice.
I mean, uh, I like that. That was, I guess, it's like what I used to do as a kid. And comics, the first comic I ever got was that Teen Titans anti-drug thing that George Perez did. They gave it away in the 80s. I think it was like early 80s. To my school, anyways, they gave us a free comic, and that was the first comic I ever owned. But it wasn't until I was 12. I think it's like my sister, she had leukemia. And back then, she needed to get treatment. So my mom was taking care of the kids. My dad was working. So it's like I would actually go with her to get her treatment at General Hospital. From East LA, we would take the bus. We knew which bus to take. So she was 10, I was 12. We would go there. And my mom gave me money, like $5 for, chips and a soda or something to eat while we're there. And I went across the street from the hospital, the children's hospital, to a liquor store to get some chips and soda. And I saw the comics. And I decided instead of chips and soda, I'm going to buy a comic, or so I ended up buying G.I. Joe. I think it's 41. It's whatchamacallit, it's got Roadblock on it. I was a big G.I. Joe fan, so it's like, I'm probably older, probably 13 to 14, I think, when I got that one. But it must have been 83, 84, maybe. So I got that one. And that kind of got me into buying comics, because then I went to Target and I saw that they had these packs. So now I had to, I think it's issue 41, so I had to go back and read the rest of the issues. So I started getting these packs with those comics. And then I started, looking at other comics. Like, looking at X-Men, looking at Avengers, looking at Fantastic Four, and just getting those books. And I think the one that really grabbed me was, I think it was G.I. Joe Yearbook #2 that Michael Golden did. That thing really...
Okay, Michael Golden is what grabbed you.
Yeah, I mean, well, it pretty much, it's like, the thing is, I'm a big G.I. Joe fan. I was, collect the figures. I still do, have a ton of them, But he used to do the covers, or he did some of the covers for the comics, the G.I. Joe comics, and they were the best ones. And I didn't know who he was because it didn't have his name on it. It just had the symbol, on the corner. And I didn't know, and I got the yearbook, and again, the symbol was there, but they didn't write who the artist was. They didn't give him
Credit.
They didn't put credit, exactly. And I didn't know until the Nom came out. When the Nom came out, I saw the little symbol again on the covers, and I looked inside and said Michael Golden. I was like, oh, okay, this is the guy. So that's what got me into that.
You started following the actual artist as opposed to the book.
Well, it was always that. It's like then I discovered Jim Lee's Punisher War Journal, and then it's like Mark's X-Men and Wolverine and McFarlane's Spider-Man. I think it's like the late 80s, 89, 90, 91. That's when it really grabbed me, because I fell into the whole late, all the Image Founders stuff. Like before Image, I loved what Rob was doing, what Todd was doing. Loved what Wills was doing on like X Factor. That's Like I just remember walking in Thrifties and seeing the comics and seeing that. Yeah, it's like
Back in the day.
yeah. So it's like I saw the X Factor. I think it's 61 or 62. It's like with all the original X-Men on the cover, but the way Will drew them was so elegant and so sharp and so it blew me away. So I bought those, and it's like yeah, Jim's Uncanny X-Men, uh, Mark on Wolverine, Todd, obviously Todd on Spider-Man. It's like it was just it that really injected me with that excitement with comics, and I know that's when I decided to get into comics. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to give that feeling that I would get when I went to the comic shop, and I would discover this new comic. Like I didn't know what comics were coming out. I would just go like every week after work and just like see what was out there. And it's like I'd loved discovering or just picking up a book and just opening the page, looking at the covers, opening the page, getting those double page splashes. Just the visceral reaction I would get from that was just so cool. And I always wanted to. Well, at that point, it's like that's what I wanted to do. I want to be in comics, but I want to do those type of comics.
So
when
where's your
Image
art
hit,
at while you're getting into these? Where's your art at? And what stage is it at?
oh, it's I think it like somewhere in the McFarlane, Wills, Todd. Rob. It's kind of like a mix of those guys because it's like it was just very scratchy, big, bulky characters. I mean, I've actually like posted a few of the stuff that I did for submissions, but that's like it was a lot of that, a lot of very in your face, people yelling, muscles over muscle kind of comics or kind of characters, and yeah, I mean, I just like when Image started, and right in '92, that's when the big boom happened, and everybody was looking for talent. Like you got Image, you got Valiant, DC. Everybody's looking for new talent. So I started submitting, sending submissions left and right, and I got a bunch
How
of
old are you
rejection
at
letters.
this period?
19, 20.
All right, and you were
Oh no,
already
21. I was 21 because it's like I got hired at 22. So 21.
So was your submission stuff at that Weapon Zero kind of quality yet that you would do for that book?
No. I mean, it's like it's that's basically the style that I was doing at the time was more again scratchy, more McFarlane-ish. Like you see, the rendering isn't like clean. It's I loved that sort of gritty, dirty, yeah, whatever he's doing, that's what I did.
Like the illusion of detail that he would do.
Right. It's just like I really I liked that type of like I would say I was kind of like I was trying to do Will's anatomy with Todd inking, but with Liefeld layouts. So
I
it's
see
very
that too.
big.
I could see the Wills in your builds of your people, of your characters.
It's like I really like the very what is it? Fashion design.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say the weight because Wills has that anatomy.
It's but I like the little heads and the big long bodies. It reminded me of fashion designs. Things you would see. The models with the big long legs, and it was very elegant. I really like that era of Wills.
Are we talking the Image era, or are we talking the Uncanny?
Yeah, no, X Factor. I think X Factor was that run on X Factor that Wills did is probably one of the biggest influences art-wise for me. Todd's what do you call it? Spider-Man. I feel like that. Well, Jim's Uncanny X-Men. I feel like X-Men. His style changed, and I wasn't as big of a fan as the Uncanny stuff that he did. The Uncanny stuff is just
Yeah,
there's
agreed.
something about it that it's just meatier. It's like the blacks are blacker. It's like once it got into the very rendery stuff, I couldn't understand it. Like
And his layouts were better, I think, in Uncanny.
There was just it felt there was just I loved that. I just loved what he did on that run. So it's like
Especially that Savage Land period, that where that
Mhm.
area that like that wonderful cover with Nick Fury, that kind of period.
Right, that was what is it, Extinction Agenda?
Extinction Agenda. Me and Frega talked about this the other day. That we think that's the best Jim has ever looked.
No,
Is Extinction Agenda.
I mean, I still look at that and it gives you an art boner. Borner.
But by the way, Crager, share your screen so we can see your drawing.
Can you see it?
No, you haven't shared. And also, Craig
I
wants
haven't
to know.
shared anything.
He
No,
says
you've been
that's
just
the
watching
alien Romulus statue you're working
I
on?
just drew this whole thing, dude. Like, well, you
Mhm.
guys were fucking. Hold on.
I didn't want to interrupt Joe. That's why.
No.
But Craig wants to know about your Romulus statue right there.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. What do you want to know about it?
He's wondering, is that a Romulus statue?
It is. It is a Romulus statue.
Have you seen the movie?
No, I have not. I thought I had showed my screen. I'm so sorry, guys. And here's the thing. Like the whole time,
No.
I've been doing this, so I'm almost done.
And
I'm sorry.
Craig says that statue is cool. And
Thanks. Here, you want to see the back of it? It looks
hey,
really
kids,
cool.
the spinner rack in the convenience stores. We had it so good back in the day.
Yeah.
And GJ can't believe Joe Benitez is here, man. What a treat. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
He's my buddy.
You're welcome. Yeah.
It just takes him a while to hunt him down and pin him down.
Well, he's out in Ontario, so it's hard to find him.
Well, that's right
He's
down
over
the
here.
road for me.
It was a $1.15 the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is going to be done in a minute, and I'm sorry that I did it off screen, guys. I mean, I literally I could probably do another one.
So other than where you ended up, what was your initial kind of bite on your art? Is there any, or did you go right to Mark?
No, well, 93, I went to San Diego Comic-Con. I was getting rejected. Like I mentioned, I got a lot of rejection letters. I remember getting one from Extreme with, and I remember I tell people that it's like, it was had a little Bedrock on there. It was just like, I don't remember exactly what it said.
You got rejected from Extreme?
Yeah, it's like I got one. I think Valiant as well, and I got a bunch of them, but it's like that one stood out.
Did the Extreme one say "Batter Rock" next time?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Batter Rock next time.
But what do you call it? That actually fueled me, because I was like, okay, if you don't like this, I'm going to work on it and do something better. And then San Diego Comic-Con was coming around, and I was like, okay, I'm going to work like this summer. I'm going to work and the period up until the con, I'm just going to work on submissions every time I get home. And that's what I did. I just, as soon as I got back from work, just head to the grindstone and get some submissions done. And back then, it's like I had a very high opinion of myself, because it's like when you're in a world, in my circle, I was the best artist. So, my friends and my family all told me how great I was. So I was like, of course I'm great, because everybody around me thinks I'm great. And it's just like, you have that bubble that So when I went to Comic-Con, I went in with that attitude, like I'm going to get hired because
Yeah.
I'm the king shit. Of
'Cause you're
course I'm going to get
great.
hired. And when people didn't, when they would look at my
Respond.
work, I was like, and they didn't respond to it. I was like, okay, you're missing out. Like I had a very, and I knew it, like I felt it. I'm going to get hired. And it was getting close to the end, or at one somehow someone told me that they were looking at submissions. I went around the con showing it to everybody. I think actually I showed it to Fraga. I remember showing it to the Extreme guys, and I think it might have been Fraga, but can't remember exactly who. I showed him to the Valiant guys. I showed it to Denny O'Neil at DC. I don't remember if I showed it to any of the Marvel people, but they were having they were looking at submissions in like way at the end of the con, and they had like little booths, and it was like what do you call it, Wildstorm and Top Cow, and there was a couple other, I think, if I recall, but I was there kind of late, so I managed to show my work to Top Cow first. David Wool was there and Dennis Heisler, and they looked at it, and David liked it, and he's like, this is really good. It's like, can you come down after, like later, and come to the image booth to show it to Mark? And and that was the other thing too. It's like, I think it was Denny who told me I need to do copies, because it's like I didn't know you're supposed to bring copies. I just brought the originals. And he's
Right.
like, yeah, you should make some copies of this and leave them at the booth.
Circulate it.
Yeah, so I ran to the Kinko's that was at the con, and I made like maybe 10 copies, and I started passing them around to the different publishers. I left one with Denny, and I left one with David, and then I went to the Wildstrom, and Alex Sinclair was on there, and he was looking at it, and he took a what do you call it, copies as well. And I think a week later, I get a call from, oh no, and then at the end of the show, it was getting close to closing, and I ran to the image booth, and they were all blocked out. Like they had like, it was like, what do you call it, a cord, they wouldn't let anyone there. And
Like
then
a
I got
velvet
the
rope.
attention of, yeah, there you go. And I got the attention of David Wool, and he brought Mark over, and he looked at my submissions. And at the time, I didn't know what kind of boards to use, so I was drawing them on these whatever I could find, whatever. And one of them was these big, thick like hard paper boards.
Like
And
presentation boards.
yeah, I guess so. It's like he's like, he got it. He goes, dude, what's this? It's like you could kill someone with this thing. It's like, but he looked at it.
It's like a slab of concrete you're carrying around.
Yeah, it was. I went with my little brother, and he carried the thing for most of the most of the trip there, because it's like I was talking to people. Yeah. What?
Funny. I said for most of the show, I was helping you.
Yeah, it's like so. Showed it to him. He told me to send copies, because he mentioned it's a show, and what do you call it? If he asked me if I could do some more samples. So and he said, just send them to us, and we just want to see what else you can do. Maybe, I don't remember if he mentioned like do other characters or whatever, or maybe do some of the Top Cow characters, Cyberforce characters. So I went back home, and it took me like 3 or 4 weeks of doing new stuff. And I sent it over, and a week later I got the call then from Top Cow.
And what was
That,
the call? Yeah.
Mark, I got the call, and Mark got on the line, and he's like, "Hey, would you like to move to Mira Mesa and join our studio?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like I was like pretty psyched about that. I was working at a little mom and pop silkscreen shop at the time, so it's like I keep saying this, but it's like that moment was one of the best moments in my life because I felt like I was going to be able to, I guess, get out of where I was at, even though I ended up still living there for 30 years. So it's like, but yeah, it's like, what you want to call it?
It's that moment when you know your life is going to change for the better.
Yeah, like it was. Yeah, it's like it's just everything was different after that. You know, like
Who's the first person you told? Was it your mom?
no, well, I mean, right there, my family was there. It's just like, you know, I was just like, hey, I think I'm moving to San Diego. And it's like, what?
Right.
Yeah, I just got hired. Like my mom tells me, it's like I was not working for a year, and I quit this job, the silk screening shop that I was working at. I quit for a year. Well, here's the thing. It's like I quit for a year because I felt I wasn't getting paid enough. And then I got back, and then the actual reason why I pursued comics of all things was because they wouldn't allow me to put my name in the art. Like they want their logo and their, the name of their shop, but I wanted to sign the artwork I did. It was just that simple act. Kind of pushed me to get out of there because I was comfortable. My overhead was not that big, and I was making enough to get by. But that little thing, like not allowing me to, credit my work, annoyed me. So I was like, fuck this, So there's this chance to work in comics. I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to take this serious and actually put a lot more effort into it. And that's what drove me to pursue working in comics.
Is it Miller, like Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah, after Miller.
Not Millar. Miller.
Yeah.
Doesn't he pronounce that Miller as well?
Yeah.
Isn't it Mark Millar?
Well, I thought so too, but apparently it's not.
It's Miller.
Miller. I don't know.
Weird.
Did you already have a gig set up at? Sorry, did you already have a gig set up at the studio when you were in the middle of the move, or they said, "Come on down, we'll see what we can get for you"?
Yeah, pretty much that. It was they had a intern or newbie thing there where they would bring in guys, and I got paid a weekly stipend of $300 a week, and free room, and basically I just needed money to eat, and that was enough. And I basically sat there and learned from the people around me. Like, the thing is, it's like, as I mentioned, I thought I was king shit before I broke in. And It wasn't until I got there the first day and I started really looking at the art that they were producing. I mean, you had Brett Booth and J. Scott Campbell. You got Scotty Clark. You got Jim working there and Mark working over there, and you got Scott Williams rocking it, and Nick Manabat. So you have these guys. So you get these guys, and I'm looking at them produce the magic that they're producing, and it just hit me in the gut. Like I've never felt
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, well, I've never felt that unconfident about my work. Like it just killed me. That moment really knocked me for a loop because I was like,
right.
Oh my God, I'm not like these guys are professionals. Their work is so slick and clean, and that's not me. That's not. I don't draw like that. Like I don't draw the really rendery, little teeth, gradation, and I can't. I don't do that. Like
yeah,
again, I would.
So they saw something,
right? Well, that was the thing. I remember drawing a piece, and Mark goes, "You know why I hired you?" It's like, and then he pointed at this little chunk of this big mechanical suit that I was doing, and he's like, "You see that? It's like most people would draw like it was segments of this, anime looking mecha suit. And it's like, he goes, most people would draw all the panels in one line. You break it up. And you see it, like he was pointing out little things. He goes, that's what I see in you. Like you see that and you know how to like indicate instead of drawing it. And he goes, and that's why I know you have a lot more in there. And I, so yeah, he saw something in me that, well, I got word that afterwards from DC, I got a call like a month later from Denny offering me a Batman book. But at the time, I was already where I wanted to be. In the early '90s, there was no other place than working at Homage and working with these guys, working with Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee and Will Spertasio in one friggin' studio. It's like I didn't really care about doing Batman. I was like, I'm getting to work with my heroes. It's like there's no better place for me to be at that moment. And I got word after that from Jim. Cool, man.
Marv, done. That's why I'm awesome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's
You
why
gonna
I'm the
draw
man.
anything else?
No, man, we're gonna talk to Joe. I haven't fucking talked to Joe in forever.
I'm talking to Joe. Anyhow, so you're there, and then what's interesting about your first book is that you're working for another artist. Because I thought it was odd when I bought that book that Walt Simonson is writing this and not drawing it.
Right.
And how did that happen?
They worked it out. I think there's a book I found, one of the early Image books, and I don't know if Walt was attached to it, or maybe he was, but Mark Pennington was supposed to finish me. I was supposed to lay out the book, and he was going to do finishes, and I kind of remember that. But the whole Walt thing, it's I didn't I feel bad because I didn't appreciate what an awesome privilege it was to work with him then, because I was so lost in my own, in my own shit. I was so concerned about my own thing that I didn't appreciate. And I felt bad afterwards, where it's like I was at times dictating the direction of the story. It's just like, like I would, but the thing is I would make comments, and then he would take those comments and rework the story so it would appease me. And it's like, and yeah, you didn't have to do that, but yeah, I didn't really appreciate the fact that I was working with such a legend at the time.
And you told us backstage that the book, I thought it was a big success because I had a hard time finding the damn thing. But according to you, the sales kind of declined, and then they took you off of that.
The sales started going down. I felt it's like Walt left the book. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if it was because of my constant,
badgering.
Yeah, well, maybe again, it's just he left the book, and I took over with Victor Llamas. Like Victor jumped on board, and we, helped me get the book off the ground or continue the book. And Aaron Sode left, and Joe Weems jumped on board. And I felt like we were going into a darker, grittier direction, and it was actually closer to my aesthetic. Like that's the thing with Weapon Zero. It was very, it wasn't as detailed as I wanted it to be. It's like, and I felt like I was softening my style. It wasn't the direction that I wanted it to go in. And I think once Weems jumped on and Victor, we kind of went for a darker, grittier look. And I think that I was really digging that direction. and but the sales weren't there. The initial sales I think were all right, maybe close to 100K, but they just declined, and I think it was 50K or somewhere around there. So they gave me the option. They're like, we can continue with Weapon Zero, or Mike's leaving the book. Mike's leaving Witchblade, so it's like if you want to take over that, or you can do a creator own, or Mark's leaving Darkness. Would you like to take over Darkness? So I got those options, and out of those four,
Quite a board of options.
yeah, but out of those four, I felt I could. I felt Darkness had the more potential because I wasn't. I wasn't confident enough to do a creator own at the time. I just didn't feel right. I felt Witchblade was so integral with Mike. It was just so. I felt anyone who jumps on it is just going to be a watered down. People aren't going to accept them. They're just going to.
That book felt tailored to his style.
Yeah,
and you couldn't really separate him from it.
Right, and with Darkness, it's like I felt I could do something different than what Mark was doing. I always saw Darkness as a Sam Raimi type story. Like I felt like there could be a lot of humor in it and a lot of exaggerated shit, a lot of Army of Darkness type vibe, but with the, doing that whole mob thing. So it's just there was elements of it that I thought would be really cool. So that's why I ended up taking Darkness.
And Garth brought a lot of humor to that book. There's actually people look at the aesthetic of it and see the darkness, not to make a pun. But if you actually read the book, it's really funny. There's a lot of humor in it, especially the dialogue.
Well, it's like unfortunately, I never got a chance to work with him because he left the book, and Malachi Coney took over, and it's like, and then I again, it wasn't. The story wasn't up to par, wasn't up to my standards. Like I wanted it darker, I wanted it bloodier, because that's what they sold us with. They sold Malachi as a darker, more aggressive Garth, and that's what we were expecting, but the story wasn't that. So it's like I felt it needed more oomph, and again, I started getting involved with the story, and eventually Marcia Chen actually helped me with the stories, and then she ended up writing them, and then it's like then we off of one of the characters, the Magdalena, she got a pretty good boost. People seem to like her, so they branched her off. And Marsh ended up writing that one. Like I think it's like they liked what she did with Darkness, so that they hired her to do Ascension, and then they offered her a Magdalena spinoff. So, but the spinoff was supposed to be done by Finch, but Dave backed out on it, and so I jumped on and took over for on the art chores for Magdalena, and I did that. And it's like, but then after that, I kind of like felt like doing a creator own. I felt like I needed to go off on my own and do something for myself, and that's when I left Top Cow.
Top Cow. That's good stuff.
Meantime, you met this man in that around this
Yeah.
period.
What was it at? Was it at Weems's, or was it
Probably
late 90s or early 20s?
It was probably in the late 90s.
All right.
It probably wouldn't have been over at Weems's for sure.
Yeah, one of Weems's.
And it was probably while he was inking Darkness.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. I was all around during that time period when Brandon Peterson and Finch and all those guys would come over. Yeah. It was cool. It was super fun. We got Corey Barton in here tonight. So hey, Corey.
Yeah, welcome, Corey. Good to see you, buddy.
How are you doing? We drew something, Corey, live. You should come on our show and draw live. We did.
Yes, draw live, homeboy.
Yeah.
Damn, look at that.
A little bit of Marv for you.
Are you gonna go up against Shelby for the Sin City style?
No. I still give it to Shelby, man. Shelby's really good at it. He's been doing it a lot longer. I just literally am a swiper. So
you're a
that's
cipher. You're very good at that. You're like the Thing from John Carpenter's film. You can like send out your tentacles to various artists and assimilate them.
Yeah, I try, man. I mean, I think this sculpture is a good example of that. Like the guy who taught me how to sculpt, he has a very exaggerated style, and I typically don't work in an exaggerated style. It isn't something that I do, but because I've done it for so long, like sculpted, it was really easy to just kind of like get over into the pool. So it makes me very happy that my teacher Simon Lee kind of rubbed off on me, not in a gross way, in a good way, and I'm able to create really cool art because he taught me, how to do it. So he basically taught me the fundamentals. He was like, here's how to make an armature. And then I was like, oh yeah? And then he goes, and here's the clays you can use. You should try different ones and see what fits you best. And I was like, oh, that's how you do that? And then he goes, and then spend 2 years just working on anatomy and sculpting everything you see. And then you'll be like me. And I was like, okay. So yeah, it took a while, but I got there. I'm very happy with it.
So Joe, what are you working on right now? What's on the docket right now?
I got the story that's following the story that we're putting out right now. It's a another 4-issue arc, and I'm also trying to polish off other Lady Mechanica stories that I feel like we need to get out, and we also want to jump in and do a La Dama de la Muerte spinoff.
Yeah.
Which for that one, we've gotten a lot of interest in, so we're hoping that one will catch on. So we're hoping sometime next year. We're developing that. Panda Girl, it's a little quirky thing that I came up with that I'm trying to get off the ground at some point. And I have a rough world that I want to play with, and I'm just trying to focus on what the story that I'm going to tell, the first story to tell, but it's all over the place with it. And yeah, I'd say about the thing is, it's like with Mechanica, it was always supposed to be a mini series that I would hand off to someone else to take over, and I would continue doing new IPs every year, like one new IP, and then I would do the same, and that was my goal. But it's been very difficult for me to hand it off, or Mechanica. It was like Weapon Zero when I drew it. I co-created the characters. It became very precious to me.
They're your baby. Yeah,
it was difficult for me to. Yeah, it was difficult for me to let go of these characters because I felt I created them. They're my characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was very difficult to leave the book. That's why I was at the time when I had that choice. That's what I was leaning towards. But I don't remember how or why I decided to just let it go and jump on something new. But that's the thing. As soon as I did Mechanica, I felt I hadn't developed the world and her personality and all well enough for me to let it go. But after 10 years, more than that, I feel like we have a good grasp of what the character is and a good grasp of what the world that she lives in is, that I could hand it off and people kind of can branch off what I've already done. But I'm hoping that the next IPs or the next characters that I come up with, that I don't become so micromanaging, with, and I can kind of let other creators do their thing with it. So, because I feel
I,
like,
You
I can attest to Joe wanting something to look right, or to look a specific way, or to have a certain feeling to it. Joe is very much in that end of the pool. Uh,
yeah, like
and
I have uh,
yeah,
some characters, I have a character called Panda Boy, which is more of I would lean more manga, more cartoony, and that's not my wheelhouse. So it's
right.
like I could try it out, but it's like I think I would much rather hire a artist that naturally draws that way, like a Scotty Young type.
Hmm.
That I feel like that would help that book. Instead of me struggling to do the more cartoony, style.
Right.
and then you can move on to another IP and not get bogged down, trying to crack
Yeah,
that code when you can just hire some artists to do it to crack it for you.
it's
Right.
always my thing. Um, I've always enjoyed doing the design aspect and the development aspect of characters and world building. It's the nitty gritty, uh,
Yeah,
page a day, panel to panel, drawing the same thing that kind of gets very tedious. And a lot of times I get resentful that that's the thing I have to do. And some people enjoy that. And it's like, and I mean, I just had this conversation the other day with a friend that, I'm fucking lucky that that's my career. I get to draw and write comics. Like that, I make a living out of doing that, and I should appreciate that. But I get so luck. Uh, I want to get all this stuff out. Like I just want to
Mhm.
do this and that. Like I want to get these ideas out and out in out there. And but it's like I can only focus on one thing, and that's I sometimes get really annoyed that it's like fuck. I want to work on Panda Boy right now, or I want to work on La Dama, or I want to work on this other post-apocalyptic thing, or I want to work on this Star Wars thing that I want to do. It's like, and I want to work on all of those, but I can only do one project right now, and that needs to be Mechanica because that's what pays the bills. That's what people want to see, and we haven't told the whole story. So it's like, um, yeah. So I get um, I guess resentful of that, and then I start beating myself over that.
well, speaking of that grand design, Chauncey's been asking this, since the chat started. Can Joe explain how he approaches designing characters? His designs are the best in the biz. So, can you go into that for all of Chauncey?
Um,
What your approach is?
it, it's I just try to draw them cool. Yeah, it's I'm trying to think like um it's just whatever catches my fancy, whatever I find, like really aesthetically pleasing. It's just like, okay, let's do that. Um, like well, with Mechanica, what I did is I looked at uh, sexy steampunk, and there were, uh, different parts that I liked. It's like I like that hairstyle from that character, from that person or that model, that that gun from this. Because it's like there's all kinds of different uh, steampunk, I guess, approaches, and I just kind of took little bits and pieces and kind of cobbled it together to come up with my own little Frankenstein look. But like Wraithborn, the first creator on that I did, I just made Cenobites, and I tried to make them sexy. It's a sexy Cenobite. It's like I like the whole leather, straps and Edward Scissorhands type thing, and I just kind of took those elements and try to make them more aesthetically attractive. And yeah, it's just like there's a character in Wraithborn called Valen, and he wears a mask. He wears like a little raven mask, and I basically took a lot of inspiration from Grail from Wetworks, Like I like the way the mask just kind of sits in the face, and so yeah, just take little elements. Like if you look at that particular character, it's just Neo. It's Neo with a mask. Um, yeah, it's like it's just depending on the character. It's just what kind of element do I want to, you know? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's just yeah, it's whatever catches my fancy. If it looks attractive, if it looks aesthetically pleasing, I incorporate it into the character. Like one of the things I wanted to do early on, the thing I loved was your take on a particular character, and I was at one point it's like I got offered X-Men or Extreme X-Men. Someone corrected me. I kept saying Savage X-Men, but it was Extreme X-Men. And the thing I always wanted to do was do my take on the characters. Like do like what Jim did and or what Wills did. It's kind of like do your version of the characters that it's your aesthetic and people identify you with them. And I kind of wanted to do that, but I didn't get the chance because I turned that gig down.
Why?
Again, arrogant. I thought it didn't have the characters I wanted to draw. No Wolverine. It's like I think that some of the characters. Chris Claremont was going to write it, but I was working on Wraithborn at the time, and I really was convinced that it's like it was going to be a major hit. So I put a lot more energy into that. But I got offered X-Men. I got offered X-23, the ongoing.
Oh,
But yeah,
Really?
but I was working on Wraithborn, and I was like, I'm already drawing a teenage girl that looks almost like her. So it's like, I'll just stick with mine. And there was also something about like I felt it's because Billy Tan did the miniseries, the X-23 miniseries, and for some reason in my like I thought I was betraying him if I took over the ongoing. It's like shouldn't he be doing the ongoing? It's like, but I didn't vocalize it. I was just thinking like, no, it feels bad to like stepping on it. What if So I kept going over that thought was going over in my head. Like, yeah, I'm not. It's not cool. Like, what if it's his gig? And I never like approached Billy about it or anything. But that was why I decided to. That was one of the factors. But also because my character, Melanie in Wraithborn, was pretty much very similar looking character. And, so yeah, I missed out on that.
Do you regret that?
Now I do. At the time, I didn't. It's like it was just. It's one of those. At the time, I felt like I'm just going to keep getting these gigs offers and keep turning them down. Well, what I'm saying, I'm going to get the opportunity, and it's like something else will pop up that will catch my fancy. But I mean, that's what happened when I went to DC. When Wraithborn hit, it didn't sell what I was hoping it would sell, or it sold 44K, but it wasn't good enough. The numbers weren't good enough for Wildstorm DC. Like originally the book was supposed to be 8 issues. They cut it down to 6, and they basically shelved it because it just I guess it wasn't profitable for them. But I got offered Batman after Jim, or I should say, Jim called me up and asked me if I was interested in taking over Batman after him, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do that!" Like, yeah, like I was bummed that the book didn't sell, but hey, I can do Batman. So
window opens, door closes, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, so I was like, let's do this, and it's like waited for the contract, got the contract. Dustin Nguyen was already announced that he's taking over Batman. I was like, what the fuck? I thought I was offered Batman, but still waiting on the contract. The contract comes, and I don't know who I talked to, but I said I thought I was supposed to do Batman. What happened? It's like, well, well, what about Superman, Batman? Would you want to take over Superman, Batman? Superman, Batman? No, my mouth is all dry. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do that. Like, all right, I don't care. Like, it's cool. I can rock the Superman, Batman. Ethan was doing that one at the time. So they said I would take over after him.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed a contract. I started work on a story for Superman, Batman, but it didn't have Superman or Batman in it. It had Supergirl and Batwoman, but I was still convinced that I'm just gonna fucking destroy these pages. I'm gonna kick ass on them, and it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna show them what's up. But then I made some decisions with the layouts that the writer didn't like. Well, the editors said they loved them, or they dug it, but the writers seemed to have issues with it. So it's like, it was because in one of the scenes we have Poison Ivy as the main villain and female parasite, and I made the reveal of Ivy a double page splash that you have to kind of pin up. You have to turn it
Sideways.
vertically to see it. And the writer felt that it was too pin-up-y. It was too distracting, and it wasn't written like that in the book. It was supposed to be just one page splash. So I was like, okay, I'll take that L. I'll take that shot because it was on me. I made that decision. It's like I'll redo it and made a one page, and it's like, but then so it kept going, and there was this moment where I was supposed to draw this alien flower. So it's like I looked up flowers and I found this interesting looking lily. And I thought, okay, that looks kind of alien. So I drew it, 6 pages of that flower. But then the writer didn't like it because it wasn't beautiful enough. So I was like, all right, well, have him send me ref, have him show me, what he wants me to draw, and I'll accommodate. So I erased all the flowers, and then I got the ref back from the editor, and it's like a rose and some other flowers. He's like, he doesn't care what it looks like as long as it's beautiful. And I was like,
Okay.
well, what the fuck does that mean? Like, how am I supposed to know what one person thinks is beautiful? It's like I thought what I did was pretty beautiful, but it's like it didn't seem to work out, but that really annoyed the fuck out of me.
He's just being a pain in the ass, it seems like.
Well, the thing is that I think it was also dude had an issue with me because he felt the book was looking too imagey, and it was like, well, that's what I do. I do imagey type books because I'm, that's the kind of books I want to do. I want to do the
it became like a derogatory remark after a while. After that period, people would say imagey.
Right.
And but yeah, it's like I wanted to do more imagey books because I felt that's what I'm attracted to. That's the kind of books I want to do. But this is in the early 2000s when people started drawing fucking TV shows and comics. It's like one brick. It's all the same panel. They neglected to understand that comics have their own approach. And you could do a lot more things with comics than drawing a TV show on there, So it's like,
yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I think the image, definitely a lot of image artists started getting kind of trashed. That it's like, it's all with no substance, all what do you call it? Man, I'm all
style over. It's too much flash.
Yeah, all style. Right, and I mean,
it's kind of like the music video directors, right, in movies, right, where they're saying they can shoot the shit out of it, but the movie is worthless.
Yeah, it's I guess it's like at the time, definitely going for more of a Michael Bay, what do you call Tony Scott kind of vibe, like big, bold action, not necessarily the quiet stuff, but yeah, I wanted to do something bold and big and exciting. So it's like,
we're doing comics here.
It's
not doing movies.
I like doing them. I like shit that's fun. or at least I that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to draw. So
So did that
Exactly.
conflict with that writer get you like what happened to that book?
well, it's like after 11 pages, they decided to just shelve it, and they asked me if I could take over and finish up the current storyline that Ethan was late on. So I finished up, I think it was 1 or 2 issues of Batman Superman. And it's like, so I did that. And then I thought I was going to jump back on the story that I was working on, but or take over. But they're like, no. It's like, can you do a fill in for this? So basically, I think I did Supergirl after that. Then a JLA story, and then Detective 823 with Paul Dini. It was a Poison Ivy story, and so I never got a chance to do the Superman Batman thing, and it was basically that nothing like that ever happened, and I ended up taking over for Ian Churchill. They offered me Titans because he hurt himself, I think, or so it's like I took over issue 2 from 2 to 5 or 2 to 6. He did issue 1, and yeah, I was excited about it because when I was talking to them, I mentioned that I wanted to do something more edgy, with the characters design wise, because I wanted to put my fingerprint on there, my stamp, and but they already had established a look with Ian, and they asked me if I would, follow what they were doing, or what he was doing. So I, reluctantly, I was like, all right, I'll do this because it's like we're just going to do this for this story arc, and then I can start, modifying it closer to my style. So I compromised. I felt I compromised again, and the story that I think it was Judd Winick was writing it. It didn't. There was something about it that they kept rewriting it. Like there's some pages that I wrote, that I drew, that I had to rework, and but so it kept getting delayed, and it's like and that was the other thing too. It's like the thing with DC, working at DC, it's like unfortunately I got very spoiled at Top Cow. I kind of like had a say in the structure of the story, and I didn't get that at DC. It's like I would put in my 2 cents, but they were like, yeah, okay, just draw, can you just draw what's on the paper, on the page? And so yeah, I was just hired to draw, and they weren't interested in any of my ideas. So that kind of like
Right.
spoiled, or not spoiled, but it sullied my desire to work there, because it's like I was like, well, the reason I joined DC was to take over Batman, but I really wanted to work on a series because I wanted to build my brand. I wanted to work because again, it's like I don't think there's anybody out there, maybe just a very few that are very successful and have created a big following without working at DC or Marvel. Like you have to work at DC or Marvel and put in some time in order to really build your brand, in order to really build your following. And that's what I was going for. I was like, I need to build a bigger following than the people that know me from Top Cow, and I need to get on a series, at least 6 to 12 issues. I need to do a run like that so I can build up momentum, and then I could do a creator own and get some of those people following me. And I didn't get that chance to keep going with the Titans because it was just a mess. And then I got out, they pulled me off of that, and that was right around the time my contract was running out. So it's like, and Mike had passed away. Like that was June 27th. Yeah, so he passed away in June 27th, and Comic-Con was a month after that. And I knew something was up because I'm not gonna, one of the executives at DC. It's like whenever I saw him, he would always be like, "Hey Joe, what's going on?" And be all night, up and really friendly. And this particular time when I saw him, he's like, "Hey, and he just looked at me, hey, and just kind of ignored me, or not ignored, but kind of like, hey, you kind of gotta go. And it's like, oh, that's weird, like I was going up to the DC suite, and I got that weird vibe, like, what the fuck, So, and I got let go from Titans a week after Comic-Con. So it's like, so that bummed me out because it's like, they didn't tell me. They just said they wanted to go a different direction or some shit. They didn't give me a specific. Like, I don't remember getting a specific. Like, they're just like, hey, we're gonna pull you off Titans. It's we want to do something else. Or I don't remember. Like, I just remember not working for like a couple of months after that, because it's like I was waiting on a new project, and they weren't giving me a new project, and my contract was expired. And as I said, Mike passed away, and I went to a show with the Aspen guys, and I was bitching about that, like how I was just not having a good time at DC, and it's like I wasn't sure if I was going to sign with them again. And a month later, that's when they met up with me to ask if I would take over finishing up Soulfire, which Mike didn't get a chance to finish. So I agreed to do that. And actually, that's when the DC lawyer, when he found out, because they announced that, hey, Joe's going to finish Soulfire, and I get an email from him, so I guess you're not signing with us, eh? And so it's like, nah, I'm not gonna do another run with you guys. So.
What do they expect? Like, seriously.
Well, I mean, it's just, it's obviously there's always two sides to everything. So this is my side, it's like, so I finished Soulfire, and I did some covers, and then we discussed, so this was 2009. That's when 2008, that's when all that happened. 2009, I finished up Soulfire, and then Frank asked me if I was interested in doing any creator-owned with them, and that's when Mechanica popped up.
And here we are.
Mechanica, yes, we are. Yeah, good stuff too.
By the way, Craig said, "Hey guys, another great show. Joe, thanks for guesting. Jay, thanks for live drawing. William, keeping the flow. Got an early morning. Got to call it a night.
Thank you for coming out."
And like what Joe said, fun. It's what comics should be.
Yeah.
Sumothori came in. Hey, wow, Joe Benitez, and thank you for coming in, buddy. See, you surprised everybody, Joe, coming in on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great treat. Yeah, and Luke says, what I'm hearing from all this is corporal comics are lame and creator-owned is the way. Would you agree, I guess?
I hope so. I mean, I want it to be, because it's like it benefits us. It benefits my company and benefits me. I'd like to see more creators coming up with their own thing. The thing is, it's like I was asked, if I would ever do a DC or Marvel thing, and it's like I can't say I wouldn't. It's just the little kid in me still wants to show what I can do. There's a part of me that really wants to work on an X-Men or Spider-Man or fucking Batman, run and show my thing, show my take on them. But it's like I feel like I'd want to work with a really well-established writer with a really good story, or basically let me do something on my own, kind of like what Sean Murphy's doing, something along those lines.
You already did the hired gun thing. It wasn't fun.
Yeah. Well, the thing, it's never. It's basically if I'm not involved in the creating of the story in some capacity, it's kind of like I said, unless it's like a friggin' Grant Morrison or Alan Moore or someone with a really interesting take. I'm not really all that jazzed about doing something for for another company, you know?
Yeah, if you were doing the Killing Joke, you would think differently.
Well, the thing is, it's just that it's like the thing is, like I mentioned the story at a different YouTube show. It's like that I was bitching and moaning about my experience at DC because it didn't fit my desires. And I was bitching it to Michael Golden of all people at a show, and it's like
We get back to
told
Michael
him,
Golden.
yeah, and his take on it was, oh, you get to draw all those different characters. That's cool, man. And I was like, yeah, but I wanted to do a run, and it's like, well, you just essentially it's like you just destroy whatever you get, offered. You just kick ass on it. You just put everything in it. Doesn't matter what it is. It's like you just do the best on that book. And I didn't see it that way. I got so lost in my own head, and I didn't put that much effort into some of those stories. And I feel like my work suffered from it. I felt I compromised. I felt I didn't do my best work. And it was all because I felt I didn't feel that it was the kind of I wasn't treated the way I wanted to be treated. And again, it was just an ego thing.
Right. Yeah, you got in your own way, my friend.
Oh, well, yeah, a lot of us do that, and I still suffer from that sometimes when it's like I get too lost in my own thoughts, and it's like it's like I overthink some things, and
yeah. Overthinking is the killer of
We've
creativity.
had that discussion many a times.
Yeah.
And what up, Phil? Welcome. Thanks for coming in and saying hello.
Well, look
Luke
at the time.
They don't let anybody do long runs like that anymore. They don't want superstars. They want cogs.
It's true.
Well,
It's true.
well, even
Luke says,
even like go ahead.
He said that's Corporal Weasel speak for they just don't like you when they fired you off of Teen Titans.
I'm sure. It's like the thing is, there were some other factors in there that probably played a part in it. That I wasn't very what do you call it? I would get a little saucy at shows and probably joke around with people and make comments and fuck around. See, the thing is, that was the thing. There were moments where I mess around with people that I probably shouldn't have, like joked with them in ways that I would joke with friends. And it's like I realize a lot of these people have big egos as well, and they don't want to be treated like you're just one of the guys.
Right.
And that I think, like I've made some rude comments and some tasteless jokes and some, and I think it affected me at DC, and also I got word that people at Marvel too. It's like when Finch was working on Ultimate X-Men, they were going to do it bi-monthly. So they needed an artist to come in and, do the in-betweens. So it's like it was going to be Finch and me and Finch, or at least Dave brought me in. And it's like, it felt like, it was a go. Like, he was like, yeah, man, I think it's a go. Like, and I started doing my take on the Ultimate X-Men, and I was like, ready to rock and roll. And then I got word, yeah, man, it's a no-go. It's like, well, what happened? It's like, yeah, one of the guys, like, I think Casado was cool with it, but one of the execs wasn't. Like, he's like, oh, he's unreliable. He's not he's a drunk. He's an unreliable drunk, and he's an asshole or something. So it's
you were drinky at the time.
Yeah. But
yeah.
that's the thing. It's like I agree with that, but unreliable. It's like I was like, how are you saying I'm? Yeah, that was the thing. It's like at that time, any work I did outside of Top Cow, I was always on time. I was never late on any of that stuff. So unreliable. I didn't understand where they got that from. But then other friends talked to the person, and it's like, yeah. I guess we had some issues at cons, and I was being overly jokey with the person, and
Yeah.
that pissed him off because I wasn't being respectful.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Are you
Everybody
sure
are.
you're Jason Crager's friend?
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. He's totally my buddy. Well, I've hung out with Joe when he's drank a little bit, and he's a good guy regardless of how much he had drank. Um, but everybody kind of loosens up after you've had a few drinks and gets a little loud, and it isn't the 90s anymore, and some people get offended easier than others, man. It just
well,
depends on.
well, that's what it's like. People in power or people they don't want to be joked on. They don't want to be ridiculed or being made fun of or anything like that. And I tended to do that quite a bit with people, like poke around, and
Poke the bear. You poke the bear.
yeah, it's like it makes them, So I can see that. So it's like I don't fault them, but it's like, yeah, it's just like, just say it's like, yeah, I don't like him because he did this. It's like, okay, cool, warranted, but don't say that I'm unreliable, when I'm
Ah.
not.
So
Because
so asshole is questionable, unreliable is a no-go. We know that you're
right,
reliable. That's right.
but asshole, yes, unreliable. Well,
No,
sometimes depends.
I said questionable. I don't think
Uh,
you're an asshole. So, but I know you. So I know the context. So,
but it's
nice.
like that was one of the things that's like the friends I still hang out with, the still, the guys I still talk to, we talk
Yeah.
shit with each
Oh, yeah.
other quite a bit. It's like when I started seeing these memes about, hey, our group chat got leaked out, and they show people like all the crazy stuff that you're trying to avoid. Like, hey, your chat got leaked, and this happens, and
Right.
I
Right.
thought, I was like, oh shit, so it's not just me. There's a bunch of really disturbing individuals out there, disturbed individuals that have their own group chat that talk about all kinds of really twisted and stupid stuff.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
and it's all to make each other laugh.
That's
It's
right.
like because we do
AIDS.
have quite a lot of dark humor shit.
We do. AIDS babies are funny. We know this.
No man, that's
Speaking of which,
canceling
what up,
shit.
J-Bot? What up, J-Bot?
I have yet to be canceled for AIDS babies.
Oh.
So, I'm looking forward to it though.
Well,
So, that being
speaking of
said,
cancel,
guys, yeah, cancel. It is an hour and 40 minutes into our show. I
We're not
hope
going to
you
talk
all.
about the Anunnaki.
Nope, we're not talking about
No
any of that
reptilian
stuff.
shapeshifters.
No, no, no. We don't
I
do
wish we could get into that, but
we don't do politics on our show because
That's politics.
yeah, dude, alien shapeshifters is politics into the bowl. So
All
we
right.
haven't started on flat Earth yet. Maybe we
Ooh,
should
no,
go another hour.
we're not doing it.
the
It's
big
not
ice
going to
wall.
happen.
Big
It's
ice
not
wall.
going to happen.
Big
Are you
not.
both
ice
going to
wall.
work on a book together one
Uh,
day?
maybe someday me and him will work on a book together. We've talked about it several times.
Right?
I never seem to meet the high standard at which Joe envisions his
No,
books, but I'm getting
it's more.
closer.
No, it's more of you're basically, it's like supposed to work with Buzz on a project that's going on 6 years. Thea
Oh yeah,
Holmes, she just finished the book for us. That was a 5-year thing. Like we talked about it and it never got around to it. It's like there's like 5 other artists that we've talked about working together on something, and it's just I can only do one book at a time, and
right.
that's where my problem, because it's like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stories that I'd like to get down, like get the story down, and then go, hey, Jay, let's talk about this. Like, what do you think about this one? And then pull it out.
Right.
But it's like that's where I'm at. It's like I can only do. I want to actually find other creators that I can, like writers, that I can
Uh-huh.
work with to develop these things. But it's
Oh,
like, unfortunately, it's like it's hard for me to give up too much control. Like
sure, sure.
it's just like just finding the right sort of meeting of the minds where it's like, we all go into the same direction. Like, a lot of times people have pitched ideas for Mechanica and it's just not, in the same ballpark. And,
Right.
and so it's like, I want to have an idea kind of worked out and then work with someone else that can kind of develop it and then go back and forth. Like that's why I work with Marcia, because we kind of we come from different perspectives, but we seem to have a very similar approach or very similar idea of where to take the story.
Right.
It's not identical, obviously, but it's like we kind of meet, and sometimes it's like with other creators, it's just it's difficult for me to mesh. But it's
Sure.
like, but yeah, I'm hoping that at some point, can develop or have a relationship with other creators that can develop more, because I'd really want to get more of these IPs out,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. As I said before, after I did Jawbone Death, I think I impressed Joe. So,
Mhm.
uh,
Well, there's
and
No,
still
what
one
you're
other
doing
book
is fucking amazing, man.
what was
coming
that?
that will impress him even further.
Yeah,
Mm.
Meathead, dude. That thing's gonna be really good, and it should be very awesome. Um, I'm currently working on the sneak preview that we're hopefully gonna have wrapped up by the end of this year, so that we can start getting it out to backers as a sneak preview to the 60-page book. Um, so we're going to be working on that, me and Will. And if you ever do need a meeting of the minds, Will is a very incredible writer. I do not. I'm very particular with my writers also, and I like my writers to be very well versed, and I like them to be able to do everything, and
Right.
I like them not to be in love with themselves sometimes, so that there's room to play, and Will meets all that criteria. So if you ever need to reach out once you've seen like Meathead or seen Black Flag when it comes out here in a little bit, uh, and you want to approach him, I'm sure he would be more than glad to get together with you. You guys have magical
In-
powers. You both speak Spanish. It'll be
Indeed.
¿Qué?
awesome. Yeah, you both speak Spanish. He fucking speaks Spanish, man.
No entiendo el
It's
español.
the Latin
All right.
connection.
It's the Latin connection. Yeah, speak Spanish, William.
Yo tengo sueño, yo quiero ir a la cama, por favor.
No entiendo. I
Tengo,
don't speak
tengo mucho
English.
sueño.
There we go. So, Joe, thank you so much for coming tonight.
Muy
We
bien.
really do appreciate it. We're going to have you on the show again at some point down the road when you're free and available and we can get you in here. I, of course, love being able to see you here. You're always excited about comics, and I'm sure Will is going to talk about you for the next week and how awesome you are.
We're going to
So,
talk about the Anunnaki next time, right?
yeah, dude. Yeah, we'll get
Tal
into
vez.
And who you're voting
Tal
for,
vez.
and why, and why you're not voting for that other person, right? And
You know
you're
what?
I'm not allowed to have those conversations with Crager.
No, I get
And-
mad. Then I want to punch him in his stupid fucking head. So that being said, guys,
hey, lead by the. I mean, yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, guys, we're gonna leave the same way we came in with a little bit of peaches.
Good
And
night,
as
everyone.
always, good night.